This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Hello and welcome to Paranormal Pets. I am your host, Brandy Stark, and today we have a delightful author, Ellen M. Laura. And she's already been a delight to talk to, even before we get to the actual show. But let me tell you a little bit about her. She's a seasoned author, a mystic, and a spiritual guide. Her decades of soft paranormal encounters, animal premonitions, protective presences, objects that seem to wake, inform both her fiction and her teaching. These experiences began in the 1970s when such stories were mostly shared in whispers. Based in Las Vegas, she blends meditation and archetypical work with a lifelong love of cats and the mysterious bonds they forge with humans. Now, I love this. She's a member of the Cat Writers Association. We got to learn more about that. And Ellen also speaks about the continuity of animal consciousness. Several of her felines have returned to her across the years. Yes, reincarnated cats have graced her life. So we are going to get started with her right after these messages.
You know the expression, cats have 9 lives. Well, what if you can give them one more? The Give Them 10 movement is on a mission to help give cats an extra life. How? With spay and neuter. Spaying or neutering your cat helps them live a longer, healthier life. And it helps control free-roaming cat populations too. Learn more about the benefits of spay and neuter and meet Scooter, the neutered cat, at givethem10.org. That's givethem10.org.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
All right, welcome back. And Ellen, we've got you on here with us. Thank you. You have a book called PussyCat Messages. And this little write-up says it's about 2 shape-shifting cats, StarLight and SnowLion, who traverse portals to deliver an ancient crystal ball to their human, drawing her into a cross-realm adventure about guardianship, discernment, and devotion. Oh, and I love this. For listeners who prefer wonder to jump scares, cat folklore, liminal thresholds, and tenderness as a superpower are the featured themes. So I guess the first thing I really do want to ask before we jump into some of the questions, but tell me about the Cat Writers Association.
You know, that's part of how I found you. One of the authors, I became a member this year, and they're a wonderful group of writers, very supportive, and I can't remember the man's name. I'm embarrassed about that, but he had shared that he was a guest, not on your show, but on Pet Life Radio. So then I looked it up, and I was searching around, and I thought, the one that caught my attention, of course, was you. I thought, that's me. That's the paranormal. So that's how I found you. And they're great. This weekend, there's an event in Indianapolis. They have their annual conference, and I'm going to be a speaker virtually, not live. And they've asked me to speak on a very controversial topic, AI, darling or devil.
Ooh, oh my. So we talked briefly before, but just to give you a quick heads up, I was a full-time professor, but the state of Florida has done some unusual things with higher ed. So I've stepped back to part-time, but I'm in the liberal arts. And I know right now a lot of professors are kind of watching AI because
nervously
we don't want that to show up in our papers.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that it's also come in very handy when it comes to things like summaries of articles that I've written. It's neat to find your stuff.
Yes.
It makes me sound so good. So I get it. I will be curious to learn which way you go with it. I think it's a tool, so we'll see. But since it is Paranormal Pets, we'll start off with a little bit of the paranormal. So there are so many different things in here. Let's start with the felines. So you've said that some of your cats have returned to you. How do you recognize them? I'm always curious about that.
Well, for me, I hear it and it's a telepathic message. So the white cat, who's the star of PussyCat Messages, StarLight, he's been with me more than once. I had him many, many years ago, one of my very first Persian cats. He was a gift to me, a black Persian. And, then, of course, they pass at 15, 16. Years later, through some odd synchronicities, I get these two white cats. And one morning I'm meditating and I heard him say, "It's me. I've come back. You always said when I was with you before you wished I was white." And I was stunned. I thought, he did remember that because he was black. He was a gift and I loved him. But I thought, oh, wouldn't it be sweet to have a white cat? So I knew it was him. And, if you have had experiences in paranormal, mystical, some of these things are hard to explain. How do you know? Well, I heard it. Well, I heard it. And for me, it's true.
Oh, that is so cool. I know, and I've talked about this before. When I started Paranormal Pets, it was like 3 or 4 pug generations ago. But I was actually on as a guest, and I had a pug named Odyssey, and he was that heart pet that we all have.
Yeah.
And he passed away after there were some really interesting things that happened with him. He was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and he actually kind of beat it through. I actually went to a Buddhist it was a blessing ceremony, but they allow for animal blessings. And so I went on his behalf, and I'll be darned if I didn't have an experience. And he actually came to remission, and he passed away at the age of about 14. And I have one right now, and his name is Neoptolemos. He's 4.5, and I'm almost positive that he is Odyssey come back to me. So I get it. And there is just something really special. And I am not particularly a sensitive. It's just, I don't know how to explain it. I don't know if it's the behaviors or if it's because he's so incredibly intelligent, or as a puppy, he was the last one. Nobody picked him. And I always love those. I'm like, I'll take him. And he didn't even look back. I mean, there was nothing. It was just like, we're gone. Let's go, lady.
I've had similar experiences. Some of them I know immediately. Now, the cat I have today, Empress Bella Rose, I got her 6 years ago from a friend who could no longer keep her. She is now over the Rainbow Bridge. And at different times, and I love Bella, of all the cats I have had, she's the most affectionate, the healthiest, the sweetest, no vet bills. I don't want to tell you, I should own a vet clinic. And I'm still not clear with her. Sometimes I think, is it this one? Is it that one? So sometimes for me, it's crystal clear. And other times, that's what I've experienced with a lot of things related to past lives. Sometimes they're crystal clear, and other times they're Swiss cheesy is how I think. They're like, well, maybe we see them, but we're not sure.
Absolutely. And I think that's a really valid point too, because it's interesting to see folks that, they have this absolute certainty, and yet there's so much variability that we're dealing with in this field. So, I think you have to be open to a maybe every now and again. And good that you are. Now, with your story, you talk about a mysterious shaman. Now, is this based on true life?
Yes. And, I listened to a few of your past podcasts. So, of course, I know there were people who have done shamanic work. Yes, it absolutely is based on a real experience of a man I met in the 90s, 1995 or 6. Do you want to know more about that?
I'd love to hear more about it because it ties into your book, right? It inspires.
Yes, of course. It's a long, meandering story, so I'll shorten it. I was doing career coaching and a woman hired me. She was a psychologist and also explored UFO work. So we're trying to get her more clients. And meanwhile, she tells me that she's studying with this shaman. Now, of course, I'm a very mystical, metaphysical person, but she hired me to get more clients. I said, Bobby, we got to focus on your goals. So I didn't want to hear about it at first. Well, over a couple of months, he healed another friend of mine who sent her boy out there for healing. He lived out in Calico Basin in Red Rock Canyon in Las Vegas. So as a thank you, I put together a little cassette tape with some music I liked and a swan feather, and I gave it to Bobby. I said, deliver this to the shaman. And that's how it started. He called me after that, and we spoke on the phone, and he came into my life as a major presence. And it was during the time I had the 2 white cats.
Oh, wow.
And the swan was real. The swan in the story, in the fictional story, the swans and cats talk, but in real life, the Swan came up to my patio every day and I fed it, and the cats would look out the patio at it. And so that's how it began.
Now, how does he translate into your book? And what kind of character does he play?
Well, there's a character, and I've named him Eduardo, Shaman Eduardo. So when the cats are in danger and they need someone to help them, he crosses through the liminal space, crosses through a portal, and goes into the next world because one of the cats lost the key to their freedom. So this shaman shows up many times. At one point, the cats are captured on a spaceship and off they go, and Eduardo and the other characters are with him. The book is kind of a blend of fantasy and sci-fi. So he shows up as someone who helps and rescues.
And does your friend know that he's the basis of that character?
Not well. In real life, I haven't talked to him in almost 2 years. So I was thinking, okay, I need to reach out, because I'm going to offer he taught me several healing techniques. And part of what I'm going to offer only to the Kickstarter backers who, when you go on Kickstarter and you pledge to buy a book, one of the options is an additional PDF called Swans and Shamans, and it will be the whole backstory of how I met him, his healing technique, which was called the healing frequency. One of the first conversations before I met him in person, it was a Friday afternoon, and my tooth cracked, and I couldn't get an appointment till Monday. Brandy, he healed it on the phone. Okay.
It's amazing.
It was amazing. The things I saw him do in the 2 years that I was close to him, as I said, I think I mentioned to you, it was like meeting a real-life Carlos Castaneda. Many of the things that happened, I still have friends, I would say a dozen met him, but others didn't. Is he real? Is this all true? People wonder because it's so unusual. And he was very private. Didn't take pictures, didn't want no promotion, very private, never promoted himself, didn't charge money.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So truly very dedicated to the path that he was on.
Yes.
Wow. Wow. Well, and it's so neat how these things translate into characters and how much meaning they have.
Yes.
And maybe this is your sign to reach out.
Yes. I was thinking that this week. I thought I need to reach out to him. It was my birthday, I think, last year that he called, and I haven't heard from him since.
Well, since okay. Yeah, definitely. Good time to check in. In today's very chaotic world, I think folks need some good anchors. They need folks to check in and make sure they're okay. Now, since you mentioned the Kickstarter, do you want to tell us just a little bit about that? What you are aiming to, you're working on. Where did my little Kickstarter piece go? Well, anyway, I'll let you tell us about the Kickstarter.
Well, Kickstarter is a platform where you go on and there's ways that you pledge support for a book. I didn't know anything about it. I jumped in. I thought, well, this will be a cool way for me to promote this story. The backstory is 3 years ago, I wrote the entire book of PussyCat Messages, all 90,000 words. And it was published on Amazon's Kindle Vella platform. Now, I don't know if you know what that is. And then they crashed it. They took it down. So all the books that had been published, I had 13 books, Brandy, that I wrote, all gone. So one of them that was my favorite was PussyCat Messages, and I thought, now what should I do with it? So I decided I would redo it as a trilogy, 3 parts, and promote it, find new readers. So that's how that came about. And then I had some author friends, and they were on Kickstarter, and I thought, I'll give it a try. So I went on there, wrote the story, created it. It launched on the 20th. So if a person goes on there, they pledge. So that's a way of saying, I would like to buy this book. And then when the Kickstarter is over, when the campaign's over, only those who've pledged get this exclusive copy of the book. And then you include things that will never be available anywhere else. So it's my first experiment. I'm curious about how it'll go. I'm excited. So anyone who wants to support it, Brandy will give you the link later. And then if you want to see the book and the story about the shaman, there you go.
Yeah. And as an artist, a small business person myself, I completely appreciate. These campaigns are so, so important. I know I've pledged myself to a couple of folks, and you get some really cool things.
Yeah.
Well, let's do this. Let's go ahead and pause so that we can put in a few messages, speaking of sponsoring. And when we get back, we'll talk a little bit more about some of the supernatural and paranormal questions.
Okay, great.
Okay, we will be right back after these messages.
Now, time for something really scary. A word from our sponsors. Paranormal Pets will reappear before you can say Bigfoot. Don't run away.
Take a bite out of your competition. Advertise your business with an ad in Pet Life Radio podcasts and radio shows. There is no other pet-related media that is as large and reaches more pet parents and pet lovers than Pet Life Radio. With over 7 million monthly listeners, Pet Life Radio podcasts are available on all major podcast platforms, and our live radio stream goes out to over 250 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, Odyssey, TuneIn, and other streaming apps. For more information on how you can advertise on the #1 pet podcast and radio network, visit PetLifeRadio.com/advertise today.
Let's talk pets
Let's talk pets
on Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Did you hear that? Our commercials have mysteriously disappeared. Paranormal Pets is back with our haunted host, our ghost host,
Brandy Stark.
All right, and welcome back again. Oh my gosh, you just have so much that you encapsulate here, and there are so many great topics. I think one of the ones that I really liked, I liked the question that you had about the ethics of working with the supernatural and pets. How do we do it gently? How do we do it without sensationalizing it? So I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, from the time I started studying mystical experiences, all the way to when I met James and others, they always said the same thing. If you have an encounter and it makes you feel light and spacious, then you're encountering a good entity, a good angel, a good ally. If at all you feel frightened or nervous, then you need to put up whatever protection techniques you have known. Block it, make it go away, and have nothing to do with it. So for each of us, there are different triggers that may say, okay, don't go there. For me, I think I've spent many lifetimes exploring very dark black magic. In this lifetime, if the word is even mentioned, I never watch horror films. I never look at horror books. I don't want to see dark images. So, and I don't think it's because I'm so pure. I think it's because I have a memory of did that, been there, not going down that road. So I think what all of us need to decide for our ethical practice, how are we going to guide ourselves and others to have experiences that are truly uplifting and mystical, but support who we are in this life as well. Not just, something else in the future. How do we stay balanced here and live an ethical life with any guidance we get from the beyond?
And I love even how you put that. Today's world, again, it's a very interesting place. I have to say, I had higher hopes for I'm a Gen Xer, so I had higher hopes for the 21st century than what we've gotten so far. But one of the things that I teach is religious studies. So I take a look at the founders, and they soldier on. They try to be a good example. And I think that's a very important part of that. That's part of the ethics. All right. I also like this one. Now, it says silent meow moments. So can you tell us a little bit about a silent meow and what that means, and then how it helped you?
All right. So one of the first mystical encounters I had with a cat, I was very young, in my 20s, long, long ago, living in a small apartment in Utica, New York. And somehow or other, I lived up on the second floor, and the door opened, and my cat was upstairs, and I hear this meow. And all of a sudden, I called out to protection, angels, and I swear this really happened, Brandy. All of a sudden, the screen in the back patio opened, and my cat went through it, and then it closed. So the cat was protected. To me, that was a silent meow from the animal saying, I need protection. And some beautiful ally, whatever we want to call it, came. And I couldn't believe it. I was looking and saying, how did that screen open and close? Because I didn't have it open. I don't know. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the cat was able to move in almost like through a portal.
Through a portal, yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was a mystical experience with it because it was so soft. I'm not sure I heard it physically, but I heard the cat outside coming up, some stranger cat. I don't know whose it was, but my cat was small and timid, and I didn't want her to be, harassed or frightened. She was a cat that always hid. So,
oh, wow. That is really, so it sounds like you've got a little bit of even animal communication going on with the I think you mentioned that in here too.
yes.
With the connection to the animals. And that's really cool. So they connect to you. So this was, something unexpected that tied to you.
Yes, and sometimes it seems ordinary. Years ago, when I still had the 2 white cats, I was going through a divorce, and it was very difficult, and I wasn't sure what to do with the cats. So meanwhile, a friend had given me a gift of a massage with a woman in Las Vegas. So I go to her home. It's very beautiful. As I'm leaving, her cat is on the sofa, and I looked at it, and I knew it was close to passing. I just knew. And I later said to her, "How is your teddy bear doing?" "Well, she's going." And I said, "Well, would you consider when I have to travel for work and I can't watch them, would you take them?" And she said yes. And so she became the surrogate mother. So, that was a little bit of animal communication because her cat let me know. She didn't look sickly, but she communicated that she was close, and I knew. So when I brought the 2 white cats to her the first time on the way over, I said, "Listen, boys, this is a Jewish Buddhist mother who lives alone. If you behave, you will be the princes of her life." And they were. She adored them. They came back and forth and stayed with me. And from the first time they were there, because they were so adorable, these 2 white, beautiful, fluffy Persians. So my dearest friend, Linda, who's still in my life, special, special Buddhist friend, she adopted them.
Oh, wow. Wow, that is fantastic. I like that. I know. And it's nice when you have that connection with a cat because I know I've had family cats and they're very good at hiding things. And when they decide to go, they go, but that you were able to give that heads up and allow that bond to happen. That's fantastic. Now, you've also mentioned things like cats as threshold keepers, and I've spoken about that in the past. Normally, I have found canines are the threshold keepers, but cats are the sorcery connectors. It's as strange as that may sound. So tell me, why do you think, now it is not unheard of though, cats absolutely sense ghosts. I've got plenty of stories of those happening. So why do you think, or why do you portray cats as threshold guardians? How does that work for you?
Well, I'm certain they see and hear things we don't. I can tell all the time. And the cat I have now, Bella, my friend who was rehoming her 6 years ago had come to visit when I still had the previous cat, Tonkin. So Tonkin is here, and Marcia says, "Would you be willing to take this cat? I'm ill, I can't keep her." And I said, "No, Tonkin is terrible. She will never accept another one." So 3 months later, Tonkin unexpectedly crosses the Rainbow Bridge. And Tonkin crossed that threshold and let me know, "Bella is waiting for you." 5 days after Tonkin was gone, Bella came. She immediately walked through the house, didn't cry, knew it was her own house. And I've had many dreams with her where we travel together. And going back to the shaman, one of the things that we did together in meditation, we would out of the body travel together and the cats would come with us.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
They were astral projecting with you?
With us, yes. And so I think they're very able to move in other realms, cross through the threshold, guide other people's. And don't you think that animals, dogs, cats are like people? They're so different. Every one of us has different abilities. Not every cat will be able to see spirits. Not every dog will be. But when they do, we know it.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, I always have paranormal pugs. I have a generation of paranormal pugs. And right now I have a grumble of 6 pugs and a puggle. But of those, I don't think they're all sensitive. I think I have observed them and I've watched them. And right now I have 2 brothers that I take with me, although I have this one named Penthusula, who is a queen. She has been a queen since she was 4 months old. She was the runt of the litter, rules everything. but I suspect she's got a little extra as well. But it's interesting. So I agree with you. There is something where some animals just seem, just like people, seem to have that gift. And I think that's pretty cool. I think it's neat that you also are aware of it and you can bring that forth. Even in Buddhism, it's sometimes said people who come back as animals or animals who come back as pets, it's because of that human influence and that awareness. And, why not?
One time I was at a Buddhist talk, and one of the students said she hoped she came back in a future life being prettier, being more beautiful. And the Lama said, it would be better for you to wish to come back to be a cat in the presence of a llama. And I thought, absolutely true.
I have met a Buddhist monk who said he was at a spiritual retreat, and his teacher, this cat walked up to him, this stray cat, and he looked at him and he named him by a former student's name who had passed away, and he said, you should have listened more to the lessons. And he ends up adopting the cat into the monastic order. But yeah, I always love that. Yeah. And I always say that pugs are little people. They're not really canines. They're a mix of cat, dog, and human, because they just are. It's hard to explain to people who don't have pugs because they just don't understand. But they're special little critters. Now, I guess all right, this will probably be one of our final questions, but let's talk one more time about PussyCat Messages. And here you blend myth, tenderness, and suspense. So which scene best captures the heart of the book and why? I think that's a good one right there.
The heart of the book, I would say, is captured when the cats have given the human woman who they've rescued the message that they are able to talk, and they're going to gift her with PussyCat Messages. So she then becomes a seer and is able to do that for others. And that's when they begin to dream together, cross portals together. And then later, after she's a successful seer, she's bored with it. So then they have to cross the portal to find an object to rescue her. And that's when they find the crystal ball that can predict and change the future, because she is not satisfied no matter what she has as a human. First, she wanted, success. She got success, and then she's bored with that. So I think that was a big part of the heart, that no matter what, following the human, I know I'm rambling, following the human through her trials and challenges, the cats are always there, and they go into the other realms to find the answers for her.
Oh, wow. And actually, I love that, because your human character in that case is actually bordering on the Buddhist concept of the hungry ghost, right? Almost never satisfied, always wanting more. And I like the idea of the cat maybe preventing that manifestation from happening.
The cats are named StarLight and SnowLion. And I don't know if you know, within Buddhist mythology, SnowLion is the magical, mythical creature in Buddhist mythology. And at one scene in the book, the Tibetan SnowLion shows up and meets little SnowLion and brings him to the Tibetan Buddhist monastery.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they travel through a portal, and her name is Ratnavanti. And she takes the two cats, brings them to the monastery. And SnowLion is the smaller of the two brothers, so he never felt as confident. Then when he realizes he carries her name and her blessing, he suddenly becomes large and magnificent.
Oh, wow. I love that. Oh, my gosh. This sounds like a really, really exciting book. I mean, you've really combined a lot of ideologies to create something that's very, very unique. Now, if folks want to get in touch with you, if you want them to find your books outside of the Kickstarter, how can they do that?
My website is my name, Ellen, ELLEN, M like Mary, Laura, LAURA.com. They can see the other things that I offer, other books. I'm also a human design analyst. I've done that for 20 years. I do readings and some past life readings. So it depends on what they're interested in.
You've got it all. You're a Renaissance woman.
Renaissance. Yeah. Well, if you've lived this long, okay, there's a lot of things that you've gathered. I was protesting in the 70s. Our generation thought things would be way better than they are. So
I grew up with Star Trek and the utopian ideal. And so here we are.
Yes.
I have to say I'm a little disappointed. Gene Roddenberry, you led me astray, but I understand. And so you have felt these transformations as you've gone through. And that's fantastic. It's just going to be really interesting to see where things land. And so I think that's what makes life very dynamic and exciting. Let's just hope. Well, anyway, if anybody is interested, you can always check out PetLifeRadio.com. Just click on Paranormal Pets and it'll pop up. You'll see the prior podcasts. And if they are looking for your Kickstarter, it is on Kickstarter.com. And again, it is your name, right? Ellen M. Laura, and look up PussyCat Messages, Starborn Descent.
Yes, or go on my website and click right there. I have a link on my own website to the Kickstarter page.
Excellent. Excellent. So for the Spirits of St. Petersburg right now, we have managed to make it through a bucket list investigation. We investigated the Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 39, which is the oldest VFW in the South. So we are processing that. We've kicked off brand new tours for the St. Pete Museum of History. I have one tonight. This will be fun. And we have actually rebranded our walking tours to St. Petersburg. So St. Petersburg Ghost Tours for the walking tours. Book number 2 is out. So if you guys are interested, Supernatural St. Petersburg and Paranormal Pinellas, you can get that up at Amazon. And actually the second half, I gave my presentation this year for the St. Pete Museum of History on hurricanes and haunts. And so the second half of that book is actually the research. So feel free to check out our website, spiritsofstpete.com. We are, 9 days out from Halloween and hanging on desperately. But there's a lot still coming down the pike, including a Ghost Fest, November 15th in Roser Park, if you are in this area. So with no further ado, I want to thank our guest so much for being on here. This has just been really delightful, Ellen, and I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that Kickstarter just blows it out of the water and you get to write even more. Otherwise, thanks for listening. We will catch you next episode, and stay safe and happy hauntings. Take care.
Pet Life Radio presents Paranormal Pets, where you can always expect the unexpected. Each week we'll discuss all aspects of weird or spiritual animal encounters, ghosts, totems, psychic animals, animal souls, animal angels, and animals in religion, with a little cryptozoology thrown in. Step into the supernatural world of pets every week only on PetLifeRadio.com.